So I held 2 piloting workshops in Akureyri, Iceland. The footage you see here is from the first one. It was a very small group of only 5 people, and ideally a theatre workshop works better with a bit more participants. I think 8 to 10 people would be ideal, but thankfully this group was very open and joyful. The group was very diverse and at different stages in their learning of Icelandic, and that made me kind of realize that having an understanding of the level of knowledge the group has beforehand is very important. The improv exercises were excellent and people really responded well to them, and I think that was what worked the best in the workshop. The best exercises were definitely the expert, where people talked continuously about a topic chosen by the audience for 1 minute. I was on the clock and they were very scared. They at first just wanted to speak for 10 or 30 seconds. And I said, okay, but then they all spoke for more than 1 minute and they surprised themselves. They knew a lot more words and were a lot more confident than they thought they would be.
Við erum hérna komið með sérfræðing í börnum og hún ætlar að segja okkur frá börnum. Við skulum gefa gott klapp.
Góðan daginn, takk fyrir koma. Ég mjög gott tala barnaðið. Ég á barnaðið.
Góðan daginn, takk fyrir komuna. Ég ætla að tala venlaðið. Mér langar að fara utanlands mikið af því að það mjög interessant og gaman.
Another exercise that worked really well was the gift giving, where you give a gift and you say what it is, using also physical improv and speaking. You decide what you're giving and the other person then has to respond and use that item or whatever it is that you gave. They were very happy with that exercise as well.
Isabel, þetta snjóbretti.
Ok, hvað snjóbretti?
Snowboard.
Já, takk fyrir. Takk fyrir. Woo!
And lastly, the classic improv where 2 people are on stage and the audience gives a scenario like a yoga lesson or a grocery store, and then the couple improvises until someone in the audience shouts freeze, and that person then assumes the position of one of the people on stage, and using the position the frozen person was in, he then starts a completely new improv. So we saw like a grocery store scene moving into becoming a dance class, and from that it went to a birthday party and a murder scene and a job interview. And each scenario forced people to talk and keep the conversation going, and they had to really use their imagination and at times dig deep to find what they were going to say. But it was a lot of fun, and we laughed a lot, and it was also very helpful, I think. The exercises aimed at pronunciation didn't go as well as I'd hoped, but however, in conversation with the groups, an idea was born that each person would bring a child's poem in and use that as a base to work on pronunciation, and then we could take it further and use that poem or even a short story and make it into a little theatre piece or do improv around the poem. And I think that would be very helpful because the groups are in such different stages at language learning. It's difficult to do a pronunciation exercise that's focusing on the group as a whole. So it would be better to for each person to bring in a piece of poetry, and then I could kind of work on each individual at the same time as I'm working on the group.
Can everyone do it? That's very good. Yeah.
I was happy with the workshop. I think using improv, especially in language learning, is great for breaking up the typical classroom scenario. But most importantly, I think it works as a great way to gain confidence in just speaking and practice conversing in many different everyday and surreal scenarios. Hopefully this will be of some use for somebody. Thank you!